Creating a bidirectional link between Revit and Excel for updating parameters can significantly enhance workflow efficiency, especially for managing large datasets or repetitive tasks in architectural, engineering, and construction projects. This process typically can be done automatically with Precast Designer, which has a fully automated bidirectional link with Excel. Here's a detailed overview of how you can achieve this. This tutorial is divided in two parts. The first part is about the creation of Excel and the second part is about the Excel to Revit link. Let's start with an Excel template in which in the first column we want to write the value of the mark of the columns, in the second the count of the columns that have the same mark, and in the fourth the weight of the column considering only the concrete. You should launch the Excel link configuration tool. In particular, you will have to select the starting Excel template. In the grouping sort part of they will sort the columns per row into groups based on the mark value. To avoid considering other elements besides the columns, we proceed to define a filter by object category. This can be done via a simple mirror parameter. The filter is based on only one parameter, in this case, the category, which must be equal to structural columns. You define a category variable that must be equal to structural columns. The parameter is mirror type on the Revit category. We then move on to define the parameters that must be filled in Excel. Let's start from the mark. This is a simple mirror on the relative parameter of the structural columns. The name of the Excel sheet, row, and column must then be indicated. The column and row offset is also important as it determines where the next column goes. It is then possible to overwrite the properties of the Excel cell in the graphic part. For example, we can change the fill color of the Excel cell. The second parameter is a calculated counting type parameter. The count of items in the project is determined by the numbering settings in the master database. Here set the parameter to mark, for example. Precast Designer will search the total number of elements with same mark. The next parameter is weight. Weight is a calculated parameter. Calculated parameters are special functions integrated in Precast Designer. It is important to define the list of materials that you want to consider in the filters. If case of parameters of type number, you can define the unit type and the number of digits for the Excel output. To create the Excel report, simply select the command Create Report and then add the Excel configuration. The Excel file will be created based on the subfolder specified in the global settings. Once the parameters have been defined, the configuration can be saved to reuse it later. In the second part, we will deal with updating Revit parameters from Excel.